Hi, I'm Gina Narcissi, and today I'm catching up with Senior Editor Dylan Martin and CRN In Depth, where we cover a big story happening now with a reporter who covered the news. Chipmaker Intel this week revealed the steps it will take to save the company billions of dollars and bounce back financially, including a plan to turn its contract chip manufacturing business into an independent subsidiary. The company's CEO, Pat Gelsinger, also highlighted a new multi-billion-dollar chip deal with Amazon Web Services. So, Dylan, Intel announced some pretty big changes to the company this week. Can you talk about what these changes are and why they're happening?
Yeah, so on Monday, Pat Gelsinger announced, some big changes. The biggest one being that Intel's contract chip manufacturing business, which is called Intel Foundry, it's being spun off into an independent subsidiary. So that is kind of a big change because, Intel's manufacturing operations for the longest time were kind of intertwined with Intel's chip design businesses, for the CPUs mainly. But this year, at the beginning of this year, they separated the financials of the chip design business and separated that from the manufacturing business because, Intel is no longer just manufacturing chips for its own designs. They're also looking to get other companies, attract, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft. It's looking to get those companies to use Intel's manufacturing plants to fabricate chips designed by those companies. There were other changes announced too. I think one of the other bigger ones was, Intel has been in the middle of a big expansion in its manufacturing footprint. And so on one hand, all of the projects announced in the US are not changing. So there's a big plant being built in Ohio. There's new fabs being built, fabs being fabrication plants. There are new fabs being built in Arizona. I believe there's also a project in New Mexico. Nothing in the US is being impacted, but a planned fab in Germany is being delayed by 2 years based on market conditions. There's also a test and assembly site in Poland that's been delayed by 2 years, and there was also a site in Malaysia under construction that will, be built, but when they actually start using that, has been pushed back indefinitely. So this is one big way that Intel is saving money because it costs billions of dollars to build these plants. The company is also in the middle of cutting more than 15,000 jobs. Pat said in his letter on Monday that more than half of those 15,000 jobs were reduced through voluntary buyouts and early retirement packages. But then he also talked about, Intel scoring a new deal with Amazon Web Services, mainly working on an AI fabric chip for AWS that will be manufactured by Intel, and also a custom Xeon chip that will be manufactured by Intel. When I say customs, this is something that's going to be custom to specific needs for AWS. So it's, to have Intel not just design, but manufacture these chips for AWS, it's an important win for them right now, given the the financial difficulties they've been having, and to show that AWS wants Intel to manufacture chips for the cloud service provider is definitely a good sign of confidence in what Intel can do manufacturing wise. But yeah, clearly a lot going on.
Absolutely. And speaking of reorg, and just before a lot of these changes were announced, you did report on a few channel leaders leaving Intel. So can you tell us who is leading, and are these departures related at all to the cuts the company is making?
Yeah, so, the biggest name that is leaving is Jason Kimmery. He was Intel's U.S. channel chief for several years, and someone who is very well respected in the channel. Back in February of this year, he actually took on a new position leading a new organization that was formed called the North America Commercial and Partner Sales Organization. It was basically merging, Intel's work with partners in North America with, the organization that was, interfacing with end user businesses. There are obviously big cuts happening within Intel right now, even within the sales and marketing group, which is where Jason was located. It's it's fair to say it's a big loss for Intel because he has done such a great job in creating the partner programs and developing and maintaining relationships with channel partners. The other people leaving, we had David Allen, who was the director of U.S. distribution sales and marketing. Also Jennifer Bosson, who was sales director of global systems integrator partnerships. And then also Kathleen Robinson, who was managing director of federal systems integrators and defense industrial base partners. Intel's sales and marketing group is planning to cut costs by more than 35%. Intel has maintained that, it is deeply committed to the channel. And, I have no reason to not believe that, but, we are still, regardless, going to be seeing some big cuts. And so I think channel partners are still concerned about, what the impact will be. We're not at the end of this in terms of the changes. So still waiting to see, what's going to happen on the sales and marketing and channel partner side.
Yeah, Dylan. So certainly a lot of changes. It'll be interesting to see what how this plays out and the implications for partners. And we know you'll continue to cover that as well. So to read more about this news, head to crn.com. And thanks so much for joining me, Dylan.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Gina.